Hello, sixth grade. We're going to go ahead and get started again here. Remember, this week is going to be a review week, and we're going to move on to some things, like I said, that we touched on right before we all went on break. I just want to make sure that we comprehended that, and it's always good to hear it a second time. So we're going to get started. It's lesson 73. It's dealing with exponents and writing decimal numbers as fractions. Okay. So the first thing that we're just going to talk exponents, okay? So whenever you get a number, take for example 3, and then they're going to put another little number to the right of it and above it, so the top right, and that is a 4. So 3 to the 4th power is how you'd say that, or how you'd figure it out. That just means you do this. You write the number 3, you times it by itself 4 times. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's all that means. And then you'd multiply it out and get your answer. So again, if I said 2 to the 3rd power, 2 to the 3rd, you'd write the number 2 and you'd times it by itself 3 times. And you go 2 times 2 times 2, and so on. Okay, so that's all the exponents are looking for there. And we'll do a couple of them examples in a second here. The second part, writing decimal numbers as fractions. Okay, if you can say the decimal number properly, then that helps you write it as a fraction. And I'll give you an example. So let's just go. Okay, I mean, obviously we all know that's 8.5. Okay, now 8.5 is a fine way of saying the number, but if you do say it, it's not exactly what we're looking for here right now. I'd say it as 8 and 5 tenths. Okay, so what number is it and what place value does it end in? That's super important. 8 and 5 tenths. And as you can see, and you go and you write that out, 8 and 5 tenths. Well, obviously we can end up then reducing that to 8 and 1/2. Okay, so that's what I mean by say it properly rather than just 8.5. 8 and 5 tenths. Okay, so just want to touch base with those two, and then we're going to do some of the examples so we can make sure that we're doing, remember we've heard this before and we're doing okay. Okay, the first example wants you to compare. It's 3 to the 4th power, so it looks like this. It has a big circle in the middle, then it says 3 to the 4th power. There's the exponent, the little 4, and the other number on the right side is 4 to the 3, 4 to the 3rd power. Okay, so as we said before, you're going to take this number 3, and you're going to times it by itself 4 times. Okay, I'm just going to go like this. 3 times 3 is 9. I'll do these ones. It's 9. So what we really need to do is take 9 times 9. So this side is 81. And if you come over here, this says take the number 4. And write it down 3 times. And that's what you will times it. So you'll do 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, let's just do the first two. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, and then 16 times 4 is 64. So which one ends up being bigger? 3 to the 4th power ends up being bigger. Okay, so you're just comparing exponents there. Okay. Example 2, it says write the prime factorization of 1,000, and then it says using exponents to group factors. Okay, so remember prime factorization. We're going to write the number 1,000, and we are going to factor tree this out first. And what you want to do first is you want to find two numbers that equal 1,000 that you can multiply. Okay, you cannot say though like 1,000 times 1 because you're still going to have the number 1,000. So what I always do when I have a 1 with all zeros, I just break up the zeros. So if I put one of the zeros over here and for 10, I got to put the other 2 over here. And as you see, 100 times 10 equals 1,000. And now you just keep breaking them up. So I break up this side. This is 2 times 5. And notice I cannot go anymore with these two. That's what you want. You want to break it all the way down to the prime number. That's what prime factorization is. Okay, so I like to just circle those so I don't forget them. That, hey, I got a 2 here and a 5 here. Because it wants you to include that with exponents in your answer at the end. So let's keep breaking down this one. Obviously, what equals 100? You could do 50 times 2. I just like, I'm going to keep it kind of simpler even, I think. 10 times 10. Okay, those are not prime, so again, you got to break it down, which you get a prime number of 2 and 5 again, and over here you get a prime number of 2 and 5. It doesn't matter what numbers you use to multiply to get, the 100. You could use a 50 times 2 or 25 times 4. As long as you keep doing your multiplication right, you'll get these 6 numbers, 6 prime numbers. And the book, what it wants you to do is write it as, well, how many 2's do you got? It wants you to write it as 2 to the 3rd power because there's 3 of them. Okay? And then times 5 to the 3rd power. And what this all is showing you is these are the prime numbers of 1,000. If you were to take 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 5, that would equal 1,000. That's all that's showing you. So kind of get a picture of it real quick and we'll go on to the next one. And remember, this is your answer. So right here, circle that. That's your answer, okay? This is your work on the top part, just so we're aware. Okay, example 3 is 100 minus 10 squared. 100 subtract 10 squared. Now again, remember, what does 10 to the exponent of 2 or 10 to the power of 2, what does that mean? That means, hey, take the number 10 and times it by 10. You write it 2 times. That's what the 2 stands for. Well, 10 times 10 is 100. 100 minus 100 is going to be 0. Okay. Number 4, this one you're writing 0.5 as a common fraction. Again, if you say it as 0.5, just like I did, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when I say, if you can say it properly, then you can write the fraction. I mean properly as 5 is in what place value? Well, it's in the tenths column. So you should say this as 5 tenths. And then you'd write it as 5 tenths. And that should reduce all the way down to 1/2. Okay. So there's that one. Last one, write 3.75 as a mixed number. Okay. So this is the number it's telling you, 3.75. It wants you to write it as a mixed number. Remember, a mixed number is going to be a number. And then instead of having this decimal, you're going to have a fraction. So the first one's going to stay the same. That's going to be 3. And then remember, like I said, if you can say it properly, you can write it as with a fraction properly. So 3 and, say the number, 75. And then what place value does the 5 end in? Okay, tenths, hundredths. So you'd say 3 and 75 hundredths. 3 and 75 hundredths. Well, that's 75 over 100. Okay, which 25 goes into both of those. So if you divide each number by 25, you get 3/4, which is 3 3/4. So again, what I mean by say it properly is saying the number and what place value does it end in. Okay, so again, I hope that helped. If we had any questions, we'll be doing Q&A on on Wednesday and Thursday. So have a good one.